Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, my name's Molly. I'm a mum here in the UK of 2 children. Back in 2019, myself and my husband started the UK adoption process, and 7 months after that we brought home a little sibling to our 3-year-old at the time, 5-year-old now, biological daughter, and welcomed our son home through adoption. Happy New Year. I can't believe it is 2022 and I vowed to myself that I would sit down and try and make a video at some point in January. So it's about 10:30 p.m. I've got one child in bed, one child away. I thought, I'm not going to get a better time than this. I have always vowed to keep my journey and my adoption story very, very realistic, very open and raw and honest. And so the video that I wanted to do today is about some of the things that even 2 years later, since starting our adoption journey, we are finding quite difficult. And I'm not doing this to scare anyone. There is nothing in our circumstances where we have any regret or where we're thinking, gosh, we're really struggling. But I think that it's really important for me to share the harder bits, as well as, of course, all the wonderful bits that come with UK adoption. The 5 things that I have found really, really hard since we adopted. The first thing would be dealing with triggering conversations around our son's story. This happens quite a lot. Now, myself and my husband made a very conscious decision early on when we brought our little boy home that his story was his story and we would not be sharing any of it with our support network or our close family unless we were doing some kind of form of life story work or it was for safety reasons if they were going out and about. And so we stuck to our guns there, and whilst we've done life story work with Little Man and involved Big Miss, there have been snippets of Little Man's story that have been age appropriate, that have been shared with support network, and that is fine. However, there is a lot that our friends and family do not know, especially about why he came into care, about birth family circumstances, and we found ourselves in a lot of general scenarios and conversations where a topic has been raised that has been completely harmless and obviously meant with no harm or kind of dig at Little Man or birth family or his story, but has kind of raised alarm bells or uncertainty or a feeling of really just discomfort in myself and my husband, where we've thought, this is not okay to talk about. We need, opinions to be simmered on this subject, and we've not known how to handle it. How we're trying to manage that is we are leaving our close support network to kind of use their presumptions about why it's not appropriate to talk about a certain subject, and we've just kind of continued to set boundaries and say, I don't think we can discuss that, I don't think that's appropriate, please don't discuss that or share those opinions around us or Little Man. We're not going to share why, but please just use your own presumptions, and that's the boundary set. So that's been quite a challenge. Following on nicely from that, the second thing is, of course, deciding how much to share about my son's story with support network. And I've already touched on this, but we decided we would keep the bare minimum details, things that are very age appropriate that we discuss with Big Miss and Little Man. We obviously share with support network, just because if they have Little Man and Big Miss on their own without us there, and one of them naturally raises a conversation or a topic or a question that is obviously very normal in our home, we normalise life story work and adoption, we want people to be able to facilitate that and not seize up and come across uncomfortable or unsure. We want our close family and friends to confidently just have that conversation, continuing it as if it's the most normal thing in the world, which it is. And that just then contributes to the kind of inclusive environment where adoption is just so normal in our family unit. As I said, as a result of these triggering conversations from my first point, we have still struggled about, do we share other bits of the story? Do we need to explain why these topics are inappropriate? Do we need to explain why we're setting these boundaries? But actually, a lot of the time we've just thought, no, we've set the boundary. Nobody should be asking any questions. When Little Man is older, if he decides to share that, he decides to share that. The third thing I've really struggled with is people's understanding and acceptance of adoption not meeting my personal standards and expectations. And this isn't because I'm snobby, it's more of a protective mechanism, I think. I come across a lot of people, as I'm sure if you're in the adoption process or you are a parent through adoption, you will have done as well, where they just don't know much about adoption. They know the very kind of stereotypical stuff. Somebody gives someone up for adoption, or there is a damaged child. They match children with families who look like them to help them blend in, all these kind of comments. And I am continuously disheartened and feeling knocked down and like I'm failing as my little man's mum when some of these harmless comments come up in conversation with some family, some friends, and it could be the slightest thing, just like I've said, oh, well, I've got a friend who's adopted a little boy and he looks weirdly like them and they've clearly done it, to try and help him blend in, and so people don't know. And for me, it makes me feel a bit sick, a bit tearful, and I just think, oh, why do people not know this stuff? But again, I remain realistic. I'm here to educate. I'm here to kind of combat and challenge these thoughts and opinions and stigma and stereotypes, but I've really, really struggled to adjust to the fact that I am raising my little man in a world and an environment where not everybody is going to make him feel safe and included and normal. And that's something that I think we are always going to struggle with, and I can't always protect him, but all I can do as his mum is continue to champion him and his voice and every other adoptee's voice as much as I can in these kind of scenarios. The next one that I have really struggled with, and this might be because my little man is 2, I don't know. Parents, if you are watching this as well, of older children, please comment below and chip in. I have really struggled to determine whether certain behaviours or quirks are developmental or a trauma response. As adopters, we are trained in every area of trauma, neglect and loss, the impact this has on the brain and development, babies in the womb, education, relationships, just everything possible. We consume so much information that when our child moves home and a behaviour is present that is actually very normal, I am programmed to think, right, this is a trauma response. What do we do? Do we need professional support? Do we need to get post-adoption support? Let me read my book. And actually my husband is really good at saying, Molly, this is developmental. It could be developmental. We need to bear in mind both scenarios, but stop freaking out. Let's just monitor this and we'll see. So for me, I really struggle to determine, the difference at the minute. The training and the knowledge that I consume from my learning and, panel and the process. It's easy to forget that children hit challenges as they develop, whether they are traumatised or not. So that's definitely something that I've struggled with that I want to share. But if you've had experience with that, please do comment below. I am really, really curious. Last but not least, and I've mentioned this on a previous video, I think in my things I wish I'd have known pre-adoption, is that my parent friends just don't get it. And that's okay. I would not expect any of my friends who have not adopted to get what my head has going through it, because they can't relate. Similarly to how I can't relate to parents who are in different circumstances to myself. I can't. They don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge, they only have the education that I give them. And it's a barrier for me in terms of support network to be going through something. And I just want to say, did you have that with your child with contact, or did you go through that trauma response? And it's been really hard to sit there and just really see that it's obvious. My mum friends, my dad friends just don't get a lot of the things that adoptive parents get, and that's okay. That is okay. So for me, I've been really conscious to build an adoption support network, which I have raved about and ranted about so much in these videos. That has been vital for me, particularly in the last year as I've gone back to work. We're hitting 2, we're hitting some kind of developmental delays, and it's just something that I've accepted and it's going to happen. I know a lot of my friends who've adopted have found this as well, and so I wanted to share that one because I think it's quite a common one that you can be a parent, and everyone is a parent in different ways through different routes, and and everybody will have different experiences and will not necessarily be able to relate to each other. With all those points in mind, I do want to reiterate that I am in no place where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. I adore my family. I adore my little man. My 5-year-old is just as challenging as my 2-year-old, and we have challenges as parents to a biological child just as much as we do as parents to my little boy through adoption. But equally, you know, there are so many positives, which you will see from many of my other videos and from many of the other adoptive parents here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you do have any questions, please just pop a comment below, or you can find me on Instagram at MollyMamaAdopt. I answer messages a lot faster on there, and a lot of you are coming to message me on there telling me that you're starting your adoption journeys, you've got your panel dates, you are family finding, and honestly, it makes my day to know that families are being made. So please do keep sharing those with me. Thank you everyone, bye!